everyone, welcome back to this whole tribe channel. I am here today to bring you Josiah's 8-month update. I'm not as late as I usually am, so I feel kind of pulled together as a human being and as a mom mostly. In my normal baby month update fashion, I'm just gonna sit here and talk to you, and I'll eventually grab Josiah and show him to you so you guys can kind of see how big he is now or whatever. He's hanging out in his playpen. He's literally like hanging from the bar. Now that he can stand up, he like pulls himself up on the top bar of the playpen, but he can like just reach on his tippy toes, so he like hangs there just like, hey, do you see me? Oh, and he just went down. 1 second, please. Because he's right next to me, like messing around in there, you will probably hear him throughout the video. Just like banging on toys, making noises, and doing his thing. Hopefully that's not too distracting for you, but if you're a mom, I'm sure you're used to it. Kick things off, Josiah is officially 20 pounds. I think when I weighed him, he was actually 20 pounds and like 2 ounces. And then his height is 27 inches. And I think he was 26 in the last video. He kind of, like I think I've mentioned before, trends by growing like an inch a month, which is crazy to think that a baby could grow an inch in a month, but that's kind of the rate that he's been growing pretty consistently since he was born. I think weight-wise in his 7-month update, he was only 18 pounds, which means he would have gained about 2 pounds. That measurement from last month was probably a little rough though, because I had to use an old scale. We just got a new one because the old scale was like, we were like, oh, this is probably not so accurate. It like, I got on it one week and it told me I had lost like 7 pounds from the week before, and I was like, that's not right. So we got a new scale. So I don't know, that measurement could have been a little off, but it seemed relatively close to what he would have been considering the month before. The way it's looking right now is that he gained about 2 pounds in the last month, which kind of makes sense because he's eating more now. But we'll get into that. Clothing size wise, he's pretty much exclusively in his like 6 to 9 month stuff, depending on where it's from. Sometimes 6 to 12, depending on the store. He's fitting in his sleepers perfectly. They're not baggy, they're not too long anymore. The onesies fit great. The jeans are still a little bit long. If you just like cuff him up at the bottom, he's fine. But they're starting to fit around his waist now, which before they were just like really big on his waist, really too long for him. So now he's really starting to fit into that size. For diapers, we're still in size 3. I just signed up for like the Amazon like subscribe and save for diapers, so I don't have to like think about it and they just show up at my door. And I had them at 3s, and I just actually changed the subscription to size 4 because while the 3s still fit him, I think we're getting ready to move into that next size. So I didn't want to get a whole month's worth of 3s and then in a couple weeks him not fit in them and still have like a whole box of diapers. So I still have plenty of 3s from our last order, so the next one will come in as a 4, and I think he should be ready for them by the time that gets to our door. Formula, he's still in the Infamil NeuroPro. Never have had a problem with it. Very, very lucky in that regard. He's drinking about 7-ounce bottles now, and we've kind of stretched his feedings from 3 hours to like every 4 hours, and that just kind of happened naturally based on kind of when he starts whining for food, and kind of the way his napping routine goes. I feel like he always gets sleepy and like falls asleep for a nap, even if it's only like a 30-minute nap or whatever, like right when it would be time for him to eat, and then kind of feeding just gets extended, and before I know it, I'm like, oh, it's been 4 hours, we should feed you. So that's kind of how we've been doing feedings at this point. It just kind of was a natural progression from 3 to 4 hours. And because we changed it from 3 to 4 hours, I upped his ounces. So he drinks 7 ounces every bottle now. He eats like food, like purees twice a day still. That's what we were doing last month as well. But we changed the amount that we feed him. So like before, we were only giving him like, if it was a 4-ounce jar of food, we were only giving him like 2 ounces or maybe like a little over 2 ounces or whatever. We're giving him the full jar now. So he usually does like oats for breakfast, his oatmeal, and we'll do oats, and I'll either mix a little bit of like a pureed fruit in there, or I'll just give him the oatmeal straight and then I'll give him some of the pureed fruit like afterwards. It's like a little like desserty kind of thing. And then for dinner, he just has a full 4-ounce jar of like whatever, his butternut squash, his pumpkin, like whatever he's eating that night. Also, we introduced probably a month ago or maybe a little bit more, those kind of like wafer crackers that like melt in their mouth that they hold. And we've just introduced him to the little puffs. And I was nervous to give him the little puffs just because I got worried about him like choking on them and being ready for them. But it's funny, instinctually, like he put it in his mouth and he lets it get moist and it starts to get soft, and then he gums it down in like a chewing motion and swallows it just kind of like instinctually, which is really cool to see. But he's been doing really good with those. But what I like most about those is that I just put them on his tray, and it like helps with his fine motor skills because he has to learn to like grab each individual puff with his fingers and put them in his mouth. And it's funny, when we first started doing it, he was terrible at it. He would go down and he would miss it, or he would get it and he would have it in his fist, but he couldn't figure out how to get it in his mouth, and he'd miss his mouth and they'd be all over the place. And don't get me wrong, they still are in the little pocket on his bib like all the time, but he's getting so much better at it every day. So every day while I get his dinner ready, I sprinkle some puffs on the tray and just kind of let him go at it. And it's eating, but it's also kind of like a learning activity. So that's what I mean by he's eating more, and that could be why he had like more of a substantial weight gain this past month, just because he's eating more of his pureed foods, and he's also kind of getting snack foods between the wafer crackers and his puffs. Sleep-wise, nothing has really changed. I mean, his kind of fall asleep time is still 7. There are some days where we just are like, wow, he's really tired, like we should put him to bed, and it's like 6:30. But what we have been doing lately is giving him his bottle, his last bottle of the night, in his crib, because he holds his own bottle now. And so we'll give him his own bottle, we'll put on his sound machine, and he kind of gets cozy in bed and he drinks his milk, and usually by the end of the bottle he falls asleep. What we were noticing is that's what he was doing either in our arms or on the couch with us in the evening when we'd give him his last bottle. Like, he would fall asleep at the very end, and then we would have to kind of move him upstairs from where he was comfortable and put him in his little sleep sack and get him ready, and like then you run the risk of like waking him up and him being like wide awake. So we were just like, no, we're not going to chance it anymore. So now when he starts to get sleepy, we bring him upstairs, we read him his story, we put him in a sleep sack, and we give him his bottle in his own bed, and we go in there after he falls asleep and take the bottle out. And that's been working for us really well. So that's kind of become our new bedtime routine, but we start that anywhere between 6:30 and 7 o'clock. So he's still going down really early, and he's up anywhere between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning. So that hasn't really changed. So for naps, he has kind of gotten back into the routine of taking a morning nap. He's always been a baby that like about 2 hours or so after he wakes up in the morning, he needs like another nap, and it's usually a short, you know, nap just to kind of refresh him. It's never very long. It never has been. It's always only been maybe, I mean, when he was a real baby, it was about an hour. And then as he got a little older, it kind of switched to just about 30 minutes. And for a while, he wasn't even really doing that. And now he's kind of gotten back into it. And there are some mornings where I get a really good morning nap out of him, like an hour. And then there are others where it's just like 20 minutes and it's not a big deal. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. So, but he has gotten back in the habit of taking that like quick nap in the morning. And then he takes another nap at around, I want to say anywhere from 12 to like 1 or like 11:30 to 1, and he'll take that nap. And that nap, again, no rhyme or reason. Some days you get a really good nap out of him. I feel like the past couple days we've gotten over an hour, which is like insane. But there are days when it's only a 25-30 minute nap, and then he doesn't really nap again, and that's why he gets super tired in the evenings. We call 4 p.m. the witching hour around here, because he's like an angel all day long. He's like the perfect child. He entertains himself. I mean, don't get me wrong, he gets into everything, but he's not whiny. He doesn't really cry a lot. If he falls, he kind of just like takes it and goes now. And once 4 p.m. hits, totally different child. He could barely bump his head, and it's like cause for concern, and he's freaking out, and nothing makes him happy. And I'm always trying to just like wrap up my work day from like 4 to 5, and I'm just like, could you just give me a couple more minutes, please? So it gets crazy. And then by the time Mike gets home, Mike getting home actually puts him in a little bit of a better mood. He gets happy when Mike gets home from work, but 4 p.m. until bedtime is... As development goes, like I touched upon before, we've been working on his fine motor skills, so he's getting better at like picking up small things and kind of knowing how to maneuver them. He's been crawling since 7 months, he's been standing since 7 months, but he's just become like such a pro at it. He's so fast now, like so fast, right Mike? He's like
Super fast.
He's like lightning fast. Like if you see him going in one direction, you blink, he's already made it to where he's going. And he has such just like laser focus. He decides he wants to go to the dog water bowl. He's gonna get there in 2 seconds, and like nothing is gonna deter him. Like nothing is gonna stop him from getting there. You could pull him away 5 times. He will make it there eventually. So he's a pro crawler, so fast. He's gotten really good at standing, you know, pulling himself up on furniture as well. He is starting to become adventurous where if he's holding the coffee table and I'm sitting on the couch a couple, like maybe a foot or 2 away, he'll reach out to try to grab my leg to see if he can kind of cruise from the coffee table over to me. And he's been successful at like cruising a few times, a handful of times. Most of the time he just falls. But he's really good about just like getting back up and like trying again, or just like going to a new task or whatever. I think my favorite development this month though has been like the baby babble. We call it talking, but obviously he's not saying any words yet. I don't know how long it'll be until he starts like saying actual words, but he is like baby babbling. And it's funny because he's never really like been a baby that like cooed a ton. As like a baby, he was always kind of just quiet, and he would make a little noises here and there, but he was never like a super like talkative baby. And now he is so talkative. It's so funny. Like you can hear him in his crib when he wakes up from a nap, like just kind of carrying on these little babble conversations with himself. I like hear him on the monitor. And it's so cute. And you know, Mike and I play along. We're like, oh my gosh, you don't say like, and then what did you say to her after she said that? And like, we just go back and forth with him. It's so fun. And just like his little squeaky voice is just so cute. I can't handle it. That's probably been my favorite progression so far. Also developmental wise, he's starting to get into like touch. I guess he's working on kind of his sensory skills, and so he's really into touching different textures right now. My mom bought him a sensory book that he really likes. My sister-in-law bought him a Halloween one that he likes too, and I just went out because I realized that he was into those and bought a different one. I think it's called like Don't Touch a Panda or Never Touch a Panda or something. I think his favorite thing to touch though is one of the books that my mom got him has leaves, and for the leaf they use like a mylar, you know, that like crinkly plastic that they make those big like helium balloons out of. That's the texture on that page, and he loves the crinkle sound, and he just like goes at it. Yeah, he's starting to become really interested in just like the tactile, like just feel of things. So he'll scratch like the ottoman. It kind of like we have like a little cat in the house. Like he just kind of goes around things just like scratching and touching everything. I actually cannot believe that he didn't ask to be like held or taken out of the playpen sooner. He's getting a lot better about like independent play. Can you say hi? Can you wave? Can you wave? We've caught him like doing this, but like I don't think he knows that he's waving, but it's really funny when he does it. What do you have on your face? Here. These pajamas were washed, but they're leaving like little blue fuzzies. Like I checked in between his toes when I changed him, and there's just like little blue fuzzies there, and they're on his face too. Oh, something I probably should have mentioned with food, but I forgot, water. So we have started, he had a cold during the last month, a couple weeks ago. He came down with a little cold. He was very congested, runny nose, stuffy nose, the whole 9. And then that ended with him having a slight cough, which went away pretty quickly. The congestion is what took the longest, and at no point did he have a fever or anything. He was always in really good spirits. But when he started coughing, I started introducing water to him. And my best friend makes like really amazing, adorable tumblers and stuff. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen me talk about her stuff. And she made Josiah the cutest little like Jurassic Park sippy cup. And he's been using that. He's not fully sure how to drink out of the little spout, but hi. But what we have discovered is that Josiah actually loves an open cup. So when I was drinking a glass of water, I was like, do you want to have some? And he was like so into it, and drank from the glass. He loves drinking from a glass, but obviously glasses are breakable and that can be dangerous. So we just bought him like his own like silicone like little cup. It's so cute. It looks like a little silicone shot glass or whatever, but it is a baby cup. And I just fill it with some filtered water and give it to him, you know, every couple of bites with dinner, and he loves it. I mean, he drenches himself because he's still learning, but it's amazing like how kind of quickly he took to drinking out of an open cup over drinking out of like a sippy spout, because I figured a sippy spout's probably closer to a bottle, which is what he's used to, but it's harder to get him to drink that, and it's just easier for him to drink out of the glass, and he likes it more so. And for teething, I mean, he has been really drooly since like 3 months. He's been putting everything in his mouth since about 4 months. And he's still very much that way, but we have no teeth to speak of. There are no teeth, right, buddy? No teeth, but as you can see, he's got his chew beads for his pacifier tether in his mouth. We leave teethers out for him now. He gravitates towards them. He likes to gnaw on them, and he'll just sit in his playpen and chew on teethers and stuff. But there are no teeth, and he doesn't seem to be in any kind of discomfort because of his mouth, so we shall see. He might be a late bloomer teeth-wise. He's been very fast with about everything else. Oh, and I don't think he was doing this in our last update. I had talked about how he was crawling and standing, but still really had no desire to sit up. Josiah sits up now. Like one day he just sat up, and then that was the end of it. It was not like a big thing. He probably did it like 7 times before I even noticed, like, oh my gosh, you're sitting up, like straight sitting up. We actually went to outdoor dining probably for the last time for a while, because now coronavirus cases are starting to spike back up here. But we actually put him in a high chair, like a restaurant high chair, which was crazy. And he sat up, and it was so crazy to see. Okay, you're starting to get squirmy. Do you want to go down? Do you want to go back in your playpen? You want to go to daddy? Daddy has a dog. Let's just put you down. Okay, so now for adoption updates. I can't remember. I really should watch the last video back before I make a new one, because then I would know what I talked about from what I didn't. But I think in the last video I shared that we had an official date to finalize the adoption. I'm pretty sure I had that information in the last video. So that date is actually this month. It's actually coming up next week, the time of filming this. I don't know when you're gonna be seeing it, but yes, I will have a whole post on Instagram, so if you don't follow me there, follow me there. My handle is @LorianToll. But yes, we are going to be finalizing his adoption soon. It is crazy. It's crazy to think about, because from the time that you get the call that surrenders have been signed and like you're the legal guardian of this child, they're being placed with you, you immediately feel like this is your child, this is your family. Like there's no other thought in your mind other than like, now we move forward as a family. And then, you know, it's a little bit weird because you have the social worker checkups, you know, every couple of months or whatever, at different points in the process. And then, you know, you get the call from your attorney like, oh, we have a date to finalize. And you're like, it's been finalized like mentally, but it's not legally. So we're finally at a place to finalize, and that's really, really exciting to know that he will officially have our last name. And it's crazy to think about it. Yes, now is the part where I give my motherhood update. Everything's been kind of status quo, actually. Like in my last video, update video, I talked about, you know, coming to terms with like not being able to be just like 100% at everything, and having to kind of come to terms with that and accepting help. And I had said that, you know, my wonderful husband, saying that because he's sitting right over there, but my wonderful husband have been really good about kind of being proactive and being really helpful about getting things clean and keeping things clean, especially now that Josiah is kind of on the move and into everything. Like we need to have our floors cleaned kind of constantly. We have 3 dogs, so that's like no small task. But he had been really good about that, and that's kind of been still the same case. He's still been really good at it, which has been amazing and super helpful. As far as my own feelings go, I just feel like lately I have been just kind of seeing how like fleeting time is, and how like he's just not, he's still a baby. He's only, like I said, 8 months old. And so I know that he's still little and he still has so much to learn and so much to do. But I can't help but like missing like that newborn stage, like those cuddles and all of the holding and snuggling. And I never thought I'd say this, but I miss 3 a.m. feedings. Like I miss all of it, and it has me kind of just like daydreaming about what that will look like for our family when the next baby comes. And I can't wait to see Josiah like be a big brother and see him interact with, oh my my dogs just went crazy, and see him interact with a baby. For a little while, I actually thought that I was like crazy for like being like, honestly, if we got pregnant tomorrow, I would be ecstatic. I'd be like, we're ready, let's go. And I thought I was crazy for like wanting to so close together and for being like in my mind like ready for that. But it actually turns out I'm not. I've talked to a lot of other moms with littles around the age of Josiah, or kids that are older, and they even said the same thing. Like, no, once you kind of get to the point where they're not like, they don't want those snuggles as much anymore, and they're not like so obsessed with just like being in your arms all the time, you miss it, and you start to kind of just like wonder like, what would it be like if I had another baby right now? So it's fairly normal from my understanding. But that's it. That's Josiah's update. That's the adoption update. That's my update. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. You can leave any questions or comments you have for me down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more content in the future. If you haven't already, you can click that little notification bell down below. It'll let you know whenever I post a video, whenever we post a family vlog. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.